Does he go to other people?
Yes.
Oh, boy, you eat well, don't you?
5 million American men cannot father a baby. Although few men will admit to being infertile, men who cannot produce children are just as common as infertile women.
You feel very drained, you feel you're not a man.
Recently, scientists have developed techniques to treat male infertility, so the future now seems brighter for thousands of childless couples.
Oh, it's a miracle. It's a miracle.
Only one microscopic sperm needs to reach and enter the mother's egg for fertilization to occur. But 1 in 10 men produce sperm not up to the task, sperm that are either unhealthy, don't swim well, or are not numerous enough to survive the journey. Rick Ciccone and his wife Kim Macer have wanted a baby since they married 4 years ago.
Fine, how are you?
Rick comes from a large extended family. Rick and Kim long to add new Ciccones to the ranks. But after 4 years without success, infertility treatment seems their only option.
Kim wants to name the babies after other friends who have cute babies. So if somebody has a cute baby named Hannah, then she wants to name the baby Hannah.
You know what I like about the name Hannah, too?
What?
That in the Bible, Hannah was barren until she was very, very old. And then she was blessed with children.
Really?
So
I don't want to name our kids after anybody else's kids.
It matters.
Rick, a college professor, and Kim, a psychotherapist, live in Pennsylvania. 45-year-old Rick assumed that the problems of getting pregnant were due to his wife's age. At 38, her fertility is already declining.
we had been trying to get pregnant for about 8 months or so, and we were pretty sure that the problem was within me. At one point it occurred to us that perhaps Rick had the problem. He said, no, couldn't be me. I have Italian sperm. So we were pretty convinced it was me. So we were quite surprised when...
Based on that.
Yeah, when Rick's count was real low.
Rick produced less than 1 million sperm per ejaculation. The average is 60 million. Many of his sperm look abnormal and would not be able to penetrate the membrane of an egg.
They're not going forward. They're just kind of wiggling from one direction to another, but not very quickly. If they're not moving very well, our chances of it being able to fertilize that egg is very small because they're not going to get to that egg.
Rick's sperm may have been damaged by a condition called varicoceles, varicose veins in his reproductive organs. 2 years ago, he had an operation to correct this.
After Rick had the varicocele surgery, the urologist had said, don't expect to get pregnant for the next 3 months. So I stopped taking my temperature, I stopped propping my rear end up, trying to get pregnant, and kind of relaxed. For the first time in how many months did I relax at that point?
Since we had gotten married.
Wait a minute now. Yeah, because we've been trying to get pregnant since we got married. The results came back that we were pregnant. We were just, it was probably one of the most joyful moments of my life.
Of our life.
Of our life. Our lives.
Kim's pregnancy went smoothly for the full 9 months, and they prepared for the new arrival. When tests showed the baby was a boy, they named him Daniel.
We were going for what we thought was a routine prenatal exam. This was 2 weeks before he was born. We got to the doctor and got up on the table, and when she put the Doppler, which is the instrument to detect the heartbeat, there was just a lot of static and there was no heartbeat. And for the first 15 or 20 seconds, it was typical for it to take a while to detect a heartbeat. And then it got to be about 30 seconds and about 45 seconds. And I looked at Rick and I said, oh my God. And the doc at that point said that she was going to get another Doppler to see whether the one we were using was faulty. And she came back and there was no heartbeat. And I looked at Rick, and at that point I saw that he was real palpably upset too. And I said to him that the baby's dead. I couldn't look at first when Daniel was being born. And then at one point, Rick said, "That's my boy." And he started crowning with curly black hair, just like Rick. And his cord was around his neck, and that was the cause of his death.
He was a beautiful baby. He had my hair. He had my hammer toe. And I don't know, it was a real... The hardest moment for me in the whole thing was when I saw him being born, and I saw that head of curly hair, and the feeling that I got when I knew he was my offspring. It was very clear from what I could see, and it just, I'd never felt anything like it, and I think I want to feel it again. I want to feel it again.
Despite Kim's pregnancy, Rick's sperm count has remained poor. If they want another baby, they must look at other options. One alternative would be to use sperm from an anonymous donor. The sperm is stored in liquid nitrogen. When the woman is ready to ovulate, the sperm is thawed and then inserted into the woman's uterus using a catheter. But the baby would have the donor's genes, not the husband's. A majority of infertile men find this hard to accept.
You gonna put the vegetables in the garden right here?
35-year-old Richard Walters is one of few men prepared to admit using donor sperm. His wife Judy gave birth to their daughter Rebecca 2 years ago.
Open up. What's that called? String beans, right? Yeah. And what was in the middle? Do you remember? Do you remember what was in the middle?
Richard works for a candy manufacturer and Judy for a publisher. They have now saved enough money to try for a second child using the same donor.
Make a big circle? Go ahead. Show Daddy. It sounds funny for somebody to say that they would cut off their genetic past, you know, that you want your daughter or son to look like your grandfather or grandmother and all that. I didn't care about that. I really cut off a bad genetic past, and it really made me feel good that she wouldn't, you know, become ailing later on, or with my arthritis, or I've seen pictures of babies with, you know, psoriasis, which I have, and it's something that just cut it all, you know, into one succinct decision. We'll say 1, 2, 3.
Go backwards.
Oh, you wanted to go backwards? Okay.
Think she can do it? Whoa, yeah. We really wanted to have a second child, and this is the only way I think I would do it. I don't even think we would adopt after, you know, if we didn't succeed this way. And that's how important it is to us.
Richard and Judy visit a nearby infertility clinic in New Jersey for the insemination.
All right, we just want to make sure that this is you. Say Walters. It is. Sample 322, is that correct?
Just like
good
before.
number. Okay, good. And the count is good. Good. So we'll just go ahead and do the insemination. It is difficult for husbands because they tend to be primarily the periphery of the treatment. They feel that the loss of the sperm contribution really takes them out of control of the entire situation. And now all of a sudden it's their wives receiving the treatment using donor sperm, and they're very removed from the entire procedure.
The man usually stays on the side until it's the exact time that, you know, you have to either do something or, react. And in my case, I didn't have that much to do, but I'm sure it has a big, big part to play with that. I can't do it, so this other guy has to come and sort of be with my wife for a little while, which is kind of weird to think about, but it's something that I accepted right away. I really did. What does a baby usually sound like?
Cry.
It cries. Why does a baby cry?
Because it wants mommy.
It wants a mommy, right.
No one knows how many donor children exist in America. This solution to infertility is kept very quiet.
Which is very unusual. Most couples are very embarrassed about the male infertility. They do not want anyone knowing. Instead of saying that there's no sperm count, they say there's a low sperm count. They will oftentimes say that it's the wife. The wife would rather take the responsibility on herself because the couple, the man, but also the couple, really can't handle the man's infertility. So they do the donor because it brings them the semblance of normalcy. But in fact, what they're doing is creating a secret life that becomes very difficult over a period of years to live.
For years and years, your father teaches you and your friends around you, your peers and all that, it's very, He-Man and all that stuff. And when the doctor originally came in and told me that, I had no sperm, it was like, whoa. And then all of a sudden it was, you feel very drained, you feel, you're not a man,
This is Elaine, this is Kathy, this is Marion, Rachel, Mariana.
For the Zacconi family, the biological link is extremely important. Rick and his parents want babies who will carry on the family's Italian-American genes.
All of my sisters have grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and we don't have any. So we're waiting and waiting and waiting.
Yeah.
It would be very nice.
The importance to me, it's a direct descendant. It's the same blood being carried down.
Generations of curly hair.
Mm-hmm.
If all this doesn't work, would you consider adopting?
I don't know, we have mixed feelings about it. Sometimes we want to do it and sometimes we don't.
There are a lot of beautiful children, loving children, lovable children who need homes. I think given that we know that we can produce our own biological baby, and he, is such a beautiful baby, it really makes me want to go for our genetic combination.
Sure.
I think what's likely to happen is that if it doesn't work this time, we'll try another time, and I don't know about a third time, but by then, I think we really have to start thinking about whether we're too old to have children, adopted or our own.
Yeah.
You want somebody to carry the name.
Yeah.
Zacconi. That's right, you're the only one with the Zacconi name, aren't you?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So,
the rest are all gone.
Wow.
New York Hospital has one of the highest success rates for helping couples like Kim and Rick.
Wow, a month and a half. So who delivered you?
Dr. Zev Rosenwax sees thousands of couples every year. Israeli-born, he has worked in the United States for 30 years. In 1981, he was part of the team at the Jones Institute in Norfolk, Virginia, which used in vitro fertilization, IVF, to produce the first American test tube baby.
It's a girl. This morning at 7:46 a.m.,
more than 33,000 IVF babies have been born in America since that birth.
within a few years, in vitro fertilization can and will be generally applied to solve reproductive problems which otherwise are unsolvable.
The IVF technique involves removing an egg from the woman's ovaries and putting it together with sperm in a dish. Sperm do not have so far to swim, but still need to penetrate the membrane of the egg. IVF is effective for many childless couples whose problem is female infertility. But because the process requires reasonably healthy sperm, IVF held out little hope for couples with male infertility diagnosis. 5 years ago, scientists in Belgium came up with a pioneering technique to help men with almost no sperm become fathers. they discovered that it was possible to inject a single sperm directly into an egg. The breakthrough was called intracytoplasmic sperm injection, ICSI. Kim and Rick are keen to try this treatment.
I'm sitting here and I know you're just a person. It's almost like you're a deity. I just want a baby or babies so much. And I know that it's not magic, but...
ICSI has so revolutionized IVF in male factor that in some ways you could say that the male, so long as he has some sperm, can probably achieve fertilization pregnancies.
Is there any possibility that we can pass on this infertility problem to our baby?
The first ICSI baby was born in 1992. And until these babies reach adulthood and attempt to achieve a pregnancy, it may be difficult to know that answer. Certainly, we are aware that if there is a genetic problem that causes the infertility, there is a possibility that this can be passed on.
Although Rick is the infertile one, Kim is the patient. She needs hormone treatment to produce extra eggs for the sperm injection.
Generally, when we deal with the male factor infertility and we have to inject eggs, we know that not every egg will be fertilized normally. The fertilization rate per egg is about 70%. So we'd like to have several eggs to assure that we have some normal fertilized egg, therefore normal embryos to be transferred.
What's the ideal number of eggs?
I think if we can get between 5 and 15 mature eggs, we're very happy.
Are my chances good of taking home a baby?
I think your chances are good. A little better than 1 in 3.
Success depends on the woman's response to the hormone treatment.
Okay, here is our little dummy. Now, I know everybody feels a little uncomfortable at giving injections.
Couples attend classes at New York Hospital to learn how to give the medication.
Just in case you have the Humagon instead of the Pergonal. Now, at the end is when you can tap out.
Kim will need at least 2 injections every night for the next month.
This needle actually is to go all the way in, and that scares some people. They think it looks so long. The truth is the worst part of an injection is getting it through the skin. So you just go 1, 2, 3, straight in and all the way in. So, okay.
Ready?
Let's,
this is something I've been waiting for.
Ouch.
Sorry.
Good.
Who's on the phone?
Mommy, it's Grandma.
Oh, hi, Grandma.
Judy and Richard Walters thought about using ICSI, but Judy thought the burden on her would be too great.
She wants to talk to you.
Hi.
Donor sperm presented a better option for them.
We felt that if you weighed the success rate of an ICSI against the success rate of a donor insemination, there was no question that we would probably become pregnant with a donor insemination much more quickly. I didn't think I could go through the shots and the surgery. I mean, there were all these issues, and more donor just seemed to be like the right thing.
But Judy's insemination has failed. They are trying again. This will be their last chance with the sperm that gave life to Rebecca, as the sperm bank has only 1 vial of that donor's sperm left. They chose his sperm from a long list with detailed information about the donors. Everything but their name and address.
It's broken down by ethnic origin and hair and eyes and blood type and skin, and it goes back to grandparents, and it's very, very complete. You know everything about the person. It's 25 pages of information back and front about everything this person has gone through in their entire life.
Some of the people we had picked were like his height and his weight, which at the time, I mean, he's lost a lot of weight since then, it was heavy. So then he said, you know what, this is really stupid. If we're getting to pick, let's pick one that doesn't have a weight problem. Why give the child a weight problem if you can control that? We thought that was pretty neat. So then we eliminated all the ones with weight problems, and that let us down. And then this guy just came out at us. I don't know what it was about him. He just seemed very sincere. He seemed to be less in it for the money. The donor said that he liked to fix things. He was constantly tinkering with things mechanically, and that's the way Rich is. And I thought, oh, it'd be so neat if our child also enjoyed that. And actually, that's one thing she did inherit, I guess, from him, because Rich and Rebecca could spend hours just tinkering.
If I had my own history within her, it's almost like having it on paper where you can hand it to Rebecca later on when she can understand and say, you know, this is your biological father. And I think hopefully with what we've done, she would be very accepting of it and, you know, say, wow, that's neat.
The Walters have one success story in Rebecca. Kim Macer and Rick Zacconi are about to start an expensive treatment with no guarantee of success.
I'm getting real anxious about this whole upcoming thing, are you?
Yeah, I've had anxiety for the last few days.
Because?
It's just a big ordeal, and I don't think I'm so nervous about the procedure, but the outcome.
Whether we get pregnant or not.
The procedure, they do it all the time.
Right.
The outcome is the anxiety-producing part of it.
Honey, I'm scared and I'm hopeful. And I just have so many emotions right now.
Me too.
As he packs to return to New York, Rick's emotions are stretched to the limit.
I think it varies how much it affects me. Sometimes I feel like I feel a sense of inadequacy, and other times I'm very much aware that there's just a lot of other men with the same problem, and so I just feel like one of many with the same problem, and it doesn't bother me too much, although it would sure be nice if we didn't have to do all this just to have a baby. I mean, we've talked about not continuing. I think Kim is actually, it would be more likely that I would say that before she would, because there are times when the strain in our relationship and the stress in general is pretty overwhelming, and there's times when I wonder whether it's really something we should go ahead with. Although I really would like to have a baby, I don't want to do it at the expense of our relationship and our sanity, and sometimes it seems like we're really pushed to the edge with all this stuff.
The couple will be away for a month, as Kim's response to the medication has to be carefully monitored every day. Once in New York, Kim and Rick learn more about the medical procedure.
This is a slide that shows the ICSI, and on the left...
The drugs that stimulate Kim's extra ovulation can be harmful. Every patient responds differently and unpredictably.
We'll start with the medications. The gonadotropins are naturally occurring hormones, and they're used to stimulate the ovaries to produce multiple eggs or follicles. Now, the gonadotropins are actually derived from a natural source, which is the urine of postmenopausal nuns over in Italy. That's probably one of the reasons why metronidazole is so expensive, because it is derived from purified urine, actually.
Do the nuns approve of this procedure?
Yeah. I know, it's not funny. It is the nuns.
And why do they have to be nuns?
They don't have to be. Why the women have to be postmenopausal and nuns helps it is because they'll have a higher concentration of follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone in their urine.
One treatment costs around $15,000, with $3,000 on drugs alone.
The treatment seems too expensive. Whether they're overcharging, it's probably what the market will bear. We're desperate. Maybe that's why there's a market for it. I don't know. And I guess that's one of the weaknesses of this type of market is there's this element of desperation, and people are willing to pay maybe more than they should be paying.
IVF per se is a very labor-intensive pursuit. Patients must come in many, many times. They see the physicians many times. They go through a retrieval, a transfer. They get followed up with bloods. And when you think about the time and effort put in and how many individuals are involved, it is really not as money-making a pursuit as people think it is.
These are the 3 separate checks we need from you. This is for the IVF cycle, this is for the ICSI, and that's for the anesthesia.
Okay, and then this one?
Rick knows that he and Kim can afford only 2 attempts. On average, it takes 4 tries to get a baby.
Seems real appropriate that I'm doing this in red ink.
Now Rick has to give the injections that he learned at the hospital to make Kim produce lots of eggs.
This is a long needle.
It's a long needle, that's right. Okay, let's do it.
Okay. Should we do it?
Let's do it over
against
there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I still don't like this.
I know. I'm not crazy about it either.
You measure the right spot.
All right. Let's see. Let me try to get a spot that I haven't hit before. This looks good.
Ooh. Don't get the sciatic nerve. Wait a minute. No, wait.
Move your hand and just...
Okay. So I'm going to breathe in, and when I breathe out, then you can jab me. So... Ooh, that hurt.
Okay, I'm pulling it out to make sure I'm not in a
Ow. Ow. Oh, hon, that one hurt.
Okay. Hold on. Hold that.
Okay. All right.
Good. You're a good patient.
Thank you, doctor.
While Kim tries to maximize her chances of an IVF baby, Judy is still not pregnant. After 4 inseminations, all of the sperm that gave life to Rebecca has gone. That donor is no longer available. They need a new donor to expand their family.
It seemed very important to have both children be of the same donor, and I'm beginning to feel that it's more important that we're able to feel a completion to our family, which we don't feel right now.
So far, the Walters have spent $1,000 on each insemination, considerably less than the $15,000 for an ICSI cycle. It may be less expensive, but there is still money to be made by companies with sperm for sale. At the conference of the American Society for Reproductive Medicine, they pitch for business.
This is our patient education video, and it talks about the whole concept of donor insemination.
Donor insemination began 50 years ago, but is still unregulated by government. Most sperm banks guarantee discretion and anonymity. But one, Zytex in Georgia, has attracted controversy by becoming the first sperm bank in the world to offer prospective parents photographs of donors.
Open your mouth just a little. Well, check the teeth. Okay, now if you look towards that light over there. Okay. And
it was just a way to provide more information to the parents without having to provide my name, address, and phone number. The initial reason that I became a donor was just a joke with my friends, you know, kind of like an immature, boyish prank. But secondarily, I thought about the money that I was going to be making.
Mike earns $30 each time he gives sperm. The sperm is sold for $150. Mark Goldstein is president of the Society of Male Reproduction and Urology. He welcomes the new openness in sperm donation, but wonders whether donors will have second thoughts down the road.
What concerns me, you have, say, a 21-year-old college student. He feels he should have his picture taken. He's willing to give the information. Then 15 years later, or maybe 10 years later, he gets married, or he's about to get married. And then all of a sudden, he gets a call from some child who managed to track him down, gave the photograph to a detective agency, and this child shows up and tells him and his new wife or fiance, "You're my father."
if they really want to track down a donor, they can get the information that is provided without photographs. I mean, we find that the patients aren't interested in, or at least not at this time, they're not interested in tracking down the donor.
I'm confident that their parents have more than likely done their jobs. And if they haven't, I can't really do anything about it. You know, 18 years down the road, if I meet one of my offspring, you know, I'm not going to be able to provide the type of nurturing that it takes to make him or her a man or a woman.
Who's that?
Daddy.
And?
Judy and Richard's sperm bank agrees to contact the donor when Rebecca is 18, but offers no guarantees of a meeting.
Who is the baby in Mommy's belly?
I don't think there should be any, things written on paper saying you have to see your donor child.
Here comes again.
Okay.
The problem these days with donors is usually they end up getting married down the road and they don't want to have that contact because of their current family or their current spouse. It'd be tough, but I'd love to just have a phone call. I wish that's one thing the banks would provide, like a one-time, almost like you've been imprisoned and you get that one phone call to reach out just to say thanks.
In New York, Kim Macer has a problem halfway through her cycle. She is responding too positively to her medication and producing too many egg sacs or follicles in her ovaries. Dr. Rosenwax keeps calm, but knows that overloading her ovaries could damage Kim's health.
Called a dominant follicle. Okay, you have a lot of eggs.
Is there a potential for hyperstimulation?
Well, there always is when you have a lot of follicles. Go back to the other side. You see how many follicles there are here?
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Lots of follicles. The picture is very similar on both sides. Okay, so we have to just take it one day at a time now. Continue the stimulation. We'll tell you what to take this afternoon after we get the estrogens back.
Okay.
And then we'll just see you and continue the monitoring.
Good.
The estradiol is already at the level that we are worried about hyperstimulation.
Dr. Rosenwax may have to cancel the treatment. His decision depends on how Kim responds to a lower dose of medication.
I guess we'll have to go day by day. Okay, so you want to give her a call?
Yes.
Many couples need to go through at least 4 cycles to take home a baby.
At this point,
Kim and Rick know there is no way they can afford even 3 cycles.
in reproduction, non-assisted reproduction, okay, each cycle does not result in a pregnancy. In fact, only 20% of cycles result in a healthy pregnancy. The problem with IVF is that it takes so much to go through it in terms of injections, retrieval, transfer, that it's just so much effort that the potential for disappointment is so much greater at every step. But one has to have the view that indeed it may not work on a single cycle. By focusing on the one thing, I think that there is a greatest potential for disappointment. Maybe not greatest, but a greater potential.
I feel so vulnerable. And I was scared also about reporting to Mom and Dad the results, that we may not be able to go through with it this cycle, because they're so invested in this too, for us because they love us, and for them because they so very much want a grandchild or children.
I know.
Look at this. It's gorgeous here.
It's beautiful today.
But we'll be okay.
We'll be okay.
Look at the baby.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Judy Walters is now on her 6th attempt to get pregnant, this time using the new donor's sperm.
These are two of the follicles that we
To increase her chances, Judy has decided to take medication that will stimulate her ovaries to produce more than one egg.
When we get the blood results later, we'll give you a call and let you know whether you're supposed to come back for the insemination. It's
Wow.
amazing.
It really is. One of these, well, 3 out of the 4 could be a.
We don't know.
We shouldn't say anything.
No, we shouldn't say anything.
No, we'll be okay.
Okay.
We'll be okay.
There's something called moving the line that you talk about a lot in fertility treatment. People who start out saying, I would never take drugs to manipulate, they do that. And then they say, I would never do inseminations, and then they do that. And then they say, I would never give injections, and they do that. And then they say, we would never, and they just keep going. And I think that everybody's line is different. And I think our line is inseminations and some of these shots, and I don't think we can do more than that.
Dr. Treiser called while
Really?
you were out getting the pizza. And she said things look much better than we had thought this morning. So my blood work was really good and ready for
Really?
insemination. Really.
Oh, that's good.
And so we're going to do Profassi tonight and come in on Monday morning for the insemination. And I asked her whether the egg quality would not be as good because it's taken so much longer to get to the stage. And she said that we're actually at exactly the stage that most people are at. I've been a little bit early the last couple times, so she thought everything was fine and everything will go well. So.
Say anything else? No?
No, she just laughed at me and told me I was being paranoid.
But I never say that. You're not paranoid.
No.
No. Well, you never know. Every month is,
And then she said it's the same chance as last month. So we just have to hope.
Right. Well, here. Pizza toast.
Pizza toast.
Okay. I don't know if the doctors did they continue, you with the treatment because they really truly believe that there's going to be a good outcome. I really don't know whether it's monetary sometimes or they really truly believe that they are going to get you pregnant.
How much is it a business? Just look around you. I mean, it's a big business now. I think in some ways the business is driving the science rather than the science driving the business. This is a very success-oriented society. The success rates for a lot of procedures are exaggerated because it is a big business. And it's very difficult for couples to find out what the true success rates are with various technologies. It requires them being in the hands of physicians who are going to be absolutely honest and are going to report their figures in ways that couples can actually understand. Pregnancy rates per retrieval, pregnancy rates per cycle. What couples really want to know is, when I walk in the door, what is the chance of my actually coming home with a healthy baby? It's actually very hard to get that information.
When you go into a doctor's office, my feeling is they will try anything to up the odds because that's what, once those odds are increased and once they have a edge basically over the competition, and that's what I wish it wasn't. It shouldn't be a competition in this field, in this medical field. It should be a partnership of these doctors working together.
Male infertility experts at the American Society for Reproductive Medicine share Richard Walters' concern.
One of the disturbing trends that all of us at this table have noticed is the tendency to bypass the male now, go straight to high-tech IVF. And I think part of it is driven by the fact that IVF, like a lot of medicine, has become a business where the bottom line is profit.
Now I'm seeing there's not much incentive to try to find the problems that cause infertility and cure the problems. They just say, well, fine, you're infertile, you've been trying for 3 years, why don't you do in vitro fertilization, which is not the way medicine was taught to us when we first learned medicine.
It also is, to some degree, patient-driven, and patients' expectations and desires are very different now than they were in 1970. Patients are much more sophisticated and have come in with much more evaluation and knowledge than they did previously, and patients are impatient.
A classic example is the high-powered billionaire executive who has the new trophy wife, and there's something very much wrong with his sperm, and he doesn't want to go through treatment because it'll take a day or 2 days or 3 days out of his schedule. Well, put her through IVF. I'm making enough money that she's the one that should have the pain and suffering.
Kim Macer, who has been experiencing hyperstimulation of the ovaries, is about to find out if her treatment can be continued. The doctors have checked the level of estrogen in her blood.
How were they? Numbers high?
Actually, we'll talk about it a little bit. No, it wasn't high. It was not, yeah. So,
Good.
that's why we're doing this ultrasound now.
Yes. Yes. I know it's not even news of a pregnancy, but good.
Kim, you're going to be calm, right?
Okay.
Okay. Just reminding you.
After 2 weeks of uncertainty, Dr. Rosenwax judges Kim's eggs are mature enough for retrieval.
It's really been a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And then hormonally, you know, I knew that I could expect some side effects, but, you know, we figured out last night, how many days have you
I've
given
given her
me shots?
46 injections so far. And I guess I didn't even realize there were going to be that many of them.
Yeah.
Everything has been a little more than we expected.
And just how many hurdles there are to ultimately achieve a pregnancy, and, you know, there's just so many critical steps. And now we're about to undergo another one, and I just hope they see some nice, healthy eggs, mature eggs.
Yeah.
It will take an anesthetic and surgery to retrieve Kim's eggs from her ovaries.
Oh, this is an interesting feeling.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. Little groggy or?
Little groggy.
I'm going to go ahead and start scanning now.
The procedure takes only 15 minutes.
We're basically just entering and draining each follicle, of which there are quite a few.
The eggs are sucked out through a fine tube.
That's pretty much it for one side. We're going to go ahead and flush the line here.
This is a Kimberly Mason.
Kimberly Mason. Okay.
Kim's ovaries have produced 18 eggs, but only 12 are mature. Rick produced sperm 2 hours earlier. It has been washed to isolate the fastest swimming sperm. Now the two can be joined. The embryologist searches for normal-looking sperm, but with this technique, he could even use immature or immobile sperm and still make a baby. He is working on a microscopic scale. The egg is thinner than a human hair and invisible to the naked eye. Every movement is controlled. The equipment reduces the motion of the embryologist's hand 100 times. The egg is held firmly in place, while the membrane is pierced by a glass needle containing the sperm. After fertilization, the embryos are placed in a culture made to resemble conditions normally found inside a woman's body. Now everyone waits to see how many of the embryos will develop properly.
Oh, there they are. Look on top. Ah.
After 3 days in the incubator, the embryos are ready to be transferred back into Kim.
My babies. I know they're not babies yet, but this is how they start. This is how they start. Oh, it's a miracle. It's a miracle.
Out of the 12 eggs, 8 fertilized successfully. 4 are now inserted into Kim's uterus using a catheter.
My old eggs are doing pretty good, aren't they? Good luck to you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Kim.
Look at our babies.
Wow.
Early embryos.
Early embryos?
Right.
Pre-embryo?
3-day-old embryos.
So we had 4 transferred?
4 transferred, right.
And we had how many altogether?
You have another 4.
Another 4?
Which will be frozen.
Okay. They're beautiful.
They're very nice, beautiful embryos, really. You
Good.
did very well.
Thank you very,
After all
very
that,
much.
huh?
I
Yeah.
know. You guys are the greatest.
After all that, we're just going to bring you down to the recovery room for
Just
half an
have to-
hour.
Thank you.
Just have to make them stick now. Now
I
it's,
know.
In 2 weeks, Kim and Rick will find out if any of the embryos have implanted in the uterine wall.
Hannah, because she was the barren one.
I think
Hannah,
we're
yeah.
jumping the gun here, thinking about names.
That's my sister's name.
I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you, doctor, and everybody.
2 weeks after leaving New York, Kim and Rick await blood test results, which will indicate if Kim is pregnant.
Anything, it's...
Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Kim?
Yes?
Dr. Rosenwax, how you doing?
Oh, Dr. Rosenwax, good to hear from you. I'm actually awaiting right now the results. They're calling us at 5 o'clock.
Calling you?
Pardon me?
Who's calling you?
The local hospital. We also sent blood to you.
Right.
Did you get it?
Yeah.
And?
Congratulations.
All right, I'm sorry. Oh my God, you know what? I'm so glad you called because I was just getting cramps and I thought that they were period and I'm pregnant.
That's very common.
You did such a good job.
We know that the results are definitely positive, okay, but the titers are very difficult for us to interpret. The thing is, we have to wait. We need to get another blood test again a week from now, as we do routinely, just to make sure that this is a good pregnancy.
Okay.
Okay, that's done routinely. What we want to make sure is the levels rise appropriately.
Okay.
Okay. Very good.
You know, I thank you so much. I realize we move on a step at a time, and this is the best.
Hold on 1 second. What is this? Hold on 1 second.
Okay. We did it!
We're on the phone.
We're pregnant. Oh, babies.
Somebody call her?
They're doing okay. I don't want to stress them out.
Sadly, Kim miscarried a week later. After 6 tries, good news for Judy. She is pregnant.
See the plus? The plus sign, that's what happens. It's a minus if you're not pregnant.
Here, do you want to... Look, don't touch. Don't touch.
What?
You know what that means? That's a plus. You say plus?
This.
Oh, don't touch. Don't touch. You know what that means? It means mommy has a baby in her belly. See? Isn't that neat? Means you're going to have a baby brother or sister? Are you happy about that? Yeah? What do you want? Which one do you want, a brother or a sister?
I want a brother.
A brother?
Today, usually she wants
That's
a sister.
unique. I like that too. It was unbelievable. Judy did the test at night, and it was just amazing. It really was. We didn't spend a lot of money on it, but it was very trying and very troubling, through the 6 months we went through the second time. And but I would tell anybody to just keep at it. That's the thing.
Hi.
Rick's parents celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary surrounded by brothers and sisters, nephews and nieces, grandnephews and grandnieces, but no grandchildren.
You want to see Mommy? Sorry.
Great.
See him?
Oh, I should have gotten you salivating like that. It was great.
Does he go to other people?
Yes.
Oh, boy, you eat well, don't you? August 13th he was born, honey. What that thing is. Hi, cutie pie. Look at the curly hair.
He was a year old, the
Same as our boy would have been.
Yeah. She's Kim, too.
And she's Kim,
Oh,
too.
you're Kim, too. You like this, honey?
You know, there's reminders everywhere running around here. And in fact, we just were talking to somebody with a little 1-year-old who was born
10 days.
10 days before Daniel died. So it's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. I think this should be us. when we see the little guys. And it was tough holding that 1-year-old. He even had curly black hair like Daniel did.
Yeah.
When I see this huge extended family and all the little kids, in some ways my heart aches not only for us but for my in-laws who would love to be bouncing a grandchild of their own.
We were very, very terribly upset, I'll say, about it. For their sake more than for ours, really. But maybe next time.
Put your hands in the one up above. He's our boss. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, right. But this other place, the doctor's a boss.
It's a challenge to try to keep looking to the future and to not stay in the past and to try to accept whatever eventuality we have to accept.
I think we continue to get strength from the fact that no matter what happens, if we don't manage to ever produce our own child, and even if we don't adopt a child, we have a good relationship and we derive a lot of strength from each other, and I think that will sustain us.
Kim and Rick decided not to embark on another attempt using IVF ICSI. They have given up hopes of a family to carry on their genes. Judy miscarried at 10 weeks.